When a livestock guardian dog becomes a liability. The Great Pyrenees is majestic, calm, massive, covered in white fluff, and bred for one thing: protecting livestock. For hundreds of years, they've guarded sheep against wolves in the Pyrenees Mountains. That instinct hasn't gone anywhere, and it's why so many farmers and hobby homesteaders turn to them. But here's the truth. When misunderstood or mismanaged, a Great Pyrenees can go from a guardian to a legal and logistical nightmare. People get them because they heard they're good with chickens or they're calm and good with kids. And while that can be true, they are first and foremost working dogs, not oversized house pets. In this video, we're breaking down how Great Pyrenees, when placed in the wrong hands or the wrong setup, become liabilities and how to prevent it. You hear this story all the time. Someone buys a Pyrenees puppy off Craigslist, plops it into a backyard with a few goats, and walks away thinking it's handled. Fast forward a few months, the dog's barking all night, chasing cyclists along the road, and ignoring every single recall command. It's jumped the fence twice and wandered onto the neighbor's property, and now the owner's on their third warning from animal control. Or worse, someone gets a Pyrenees thinking it's a good, gentle giant for their kids, but they don't understand that Pyrenees bark constantly. They dig, they roam, they protect by standing between your kids and everyone else. It gets awkward fast and eventually dangerous. In most cases, the dog isn't broken. It's doing exactly what it was bred to do: guard, bark, and make its own decisions. But the environment, that's what's failing. The number one issue with Pyrenees, they're being raised in the wrong setup. Here's what sets them up for failure: no fencing. Pyrenees patrol, it's in their DNA. Without strong, secure fencing, they'll define the territory themselves, and it could stretch a mile wide. Roaming is a huge liability. No livestock bonding. They're not plug and play. You can't toss a Pyrenees in with animals and expect harmony. They need a bonding period, especially with poultry or smaller livestock. No predator threat. When there's nothing real to protect against, they create threats, barking at neighbors, reacting to guests, going after the mailman. They're not being aggressive. They're trying to do their job in a place that doesn't need it. No tolerance for noise. Pyrenees bark at night, at wind, at changes in the air. If you have neighbors anywhere within shouting distance, this becomes a major issue fast. Suburban or hobby farm placement. These dogs weren't made for cul-de-sacs. They need land, structure, fencing, and a clear role. Otherwise, they'll go rogue. When things go sideways with the Pyrenees, the consequences come fast. Animal control visits for roaming or noise complaints, civil liability if the dog causes an accident, knocks someone over, or kills a neighbor or chicken. Dangerous dog designations that can lead to heavy restrictions or worse, euthanasia. Homeowners insurance dropping coverage after an incident. Being ostracized in your local community or circle. One incident, like your Pyrenees chasing someone off a bike path, and everything can change. And sadly, it's the dog that pays the price for human error 99% of the time. So what should people know before getting a Great Pyrenees? Here's what actually works. Strong perimeter fencing is non-negotiable. Invisible fence? Forget it. Livestock bonding takes time, especially for poultry. Let pups grow up with the flock. You need predator pressure. These dogs thrive when they have a job. No job equals behavioral issues. Accept the bark. You will not train it out. It's how they alert. If that's a problem for your area, this isn't your breed. Do your research. Before you bring one home, read working dog resources, not pet owner guides. The Great Pyrenees is incredible, loyal, calm, and brave, while also being totally independent. But that independence is exactly what makes them a liability in the wrong hands. They're not apartment dogs. They're not barkless. They're not fence-respecting fluffballs. But if you respect them, what they are, ancient, serious, stubborn, and protective, they'll be one of the best working partners you'll ever have. Here's something most people don't think about. You won't be able to recall a Great Pyrenees reliably, ever. You might get lucky. You might train a good recall cue, but in most cases, they'll look at you, think about it, and go back to whatever they were doing. That's not disobedience. That's genetics. They were bred to make independent decisions, because when they're out in a pasture at 2 a.m. and a coyote shows up, there's no humans around to give commands. Now imagine what that looks like if your Pyrenees gets out and starts roaming into town or into someone's backyard. You can't just whistle and expect them to come running. This becomes a liability fast if you haven't accounted for it. Chickens are a whole different story. People assume if a Great Pyrenees is good with goats, they'll be fine with chickens. Nope. Chickens move differently. They flap. They scatter. They're harder to bond with, and for a Pyrenees that hasn't been raised properly around poultry, those sudden movements can trigger a chase response. And once a Pyrenees has killed a chicken, even by accident, it can become extremely hard to trust them again without serious retraining. So if chickens are part of your homestead, you need to go slow. Supervise the bonding, expect mistakes, and don't assume that one success with sheep means success with birds. This one catches a lot of people off guard. Pyrenees protect quietly and sometimes weirdly. They don't just chase predators. Sometimes they just stand still and stare. Sometimes they sleep all day and patrol all night. Sometimes they bark constantly and you never actually see what they're barking at. And sometimes they'll guard the wrong thing, like a random tree in the yard or your compost bin. This confuses owners. They think the dog is broken, but from the dog's perspective, that thing smelled off or moved weird or was out of place. So they claimed it, and now they're guarding it. Understanding how a Pyrenees thinks is critical, because a confused human will always think the dog is misbehaving when it's really just doing what it was born to do. A Great Pyrenees can be one of the most incredible animals you'll ever work with if you do it right, and here's how. Start with a purpose. So before you get one, ask yourself, what will this dog be guarding? Where will it live? What's the daily purpose? If you don't have a clear answer, it's not the right time for a Pyrenees. Great Pyrenees don't respect boundaries. They respect territory. And unless you define that territory with strong, visible, physical fencing, they'll define it for themselves. These dogs are tanky, determined, and unmoved by discomfort when they think something needs protecting. Fencing is not optional. It's life-saving. It's also lawsuit preventing, reputation saving, and peace of mind building. A Great Pyrenees pup doesn't come out of the womb knowing how to guard your chickens or goats. They need to learn, and that takes time. Ideally, pups are raised alongside the animals they'll be protecting, not in the house, not in a kennel, with the livestock under supervision. You have to teach them what's normal behavior from the animals and what's a threat. That takes time, patience, and correction. Left to figure it out alone, some pups may chase, play too rough, or even injure small animals by accident. But with proper bonding, that switch flips. The dog stops seeing itself as a house pet and starts seeing itself as part of the herd. That's where the real magic happens. This is the one most people struggle with. Pyrenees are not like other dogs. They bark a lot, they dig trenches in the pasture, they pace all night, and sleep all day. And if you call them to come and they don't feel like it, they won't. That's exactly what makes them good at their job. They're bred to make decisions without you. They're not waiting for approval. They're acting on instinct. Trying to train out these traits is like trying to train a fish not to swim. Instead of fighting it, build your setup around it. Accept the noise. Plan for independence. Know that control is a myth. partnership is the goal. You also have to be very patient. A 1-year-old Great Pyrenees is still a puppy, even if it weighs 100 pounds. These dogs mature very slow, both physically and mentally. What looks like stubbornness or goofiness is usually just a half-baked brain figuring things out. They don't fully settle into their role until age 2 or 3, and that's normal. Too many people give up on them early, thinking, this dog isn't working out. But the truth is, they were just expecting too much too soon. If you stick with them through the early mess, the barking, the roaming attempts, the confusion, you'll end up with one of the most dependable guardians on the planet. But you have to give it time. Sometimes, despite your best effort, good fencing, bonding time, supervision, patience, your Great Pyrenees still turns into a liability. Maybe they can't stop roaming. Maybe they won't bond with the livestock. Maybe they're too reactive, or the barking is out of control, or they've hurt an animal. Here's the hard truth. Not every Pyrenees is cut out to be a livestock guardian. Genetics aren't guarantees, and not every homestead is the right environment. So what do? Rehome responsibly. Look for working farms or experienced LGD owners, not pet homes, not shelters. These dogs need structure, not sofas. Talk to your breeder or rescue. Good breeders will often take dogs back or help place them. Avoid doubling down. Don't add another Pyrenees hoping it'll train the first. Don't keep waiting while problems get worse. That's when lawsuits and heartbreak can happen. Don't blame the dog. If it's not working, it doesn't mean the dog is broken. It means the match is wrong. And it's your job to fix that, not punish the dog for being what it is. Making the call to rehome is hard, but it's also responsible. And it can be the difference between a frustrated dog and a bad fit and a working guardian in the right hands. If you learned something new or if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching.